For most Filipinos, working overseas would mean separation and homesickness. But for some, the experience can be more traumatic. Maids in particular are vulnerable to abuse. One domestic worker tells us her story.
I'm Sheila Marie Makatsyag. I'm already 31 years old. I go to Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I work as a domestic helper. So it's really hard work, starting from early morning and then late night. Only 3 hours rest, and then that's it. I'm going to wash all the dishes. I get finished at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then when I handle the soap, it's really hurt. We're sleeping like this because we cannot move these fingers. Because once you move these fingers, it will bleed. Us, we need to work almost 24 hours, but they don't give us enough food. I heard a lot of bad words against us. And then he said, I really stupid, and I don't know what I am working. We already decided that when we have a chance to run away, we will run away. So we go to the shelter there, but outside there's already a police car and the policeman waiting for us there. They said that we stole money. They turned over us to the jail. Inside the prison, it's good, better than in the house. And then the food is better than you're inside the house. Yeah, the treatment is better than inside the house. After almost a year, we have news already that we're going to go back here in the Philippines. My focus is I don't want to see my family. I'm going to hide it to them, you know, because I really, what's that, or shy or disappointed to what happened on me. So I hid it to them for about a month. I didn't tell them that I'm already here in the Philippines, that I came out from the jail. So little by little, you can adjust. And you can accept it's the life. It's really happened. At least I survived.
This week, 101 East comes to you from Manila, Philippines, and we're talking about the OFWs, or the Overseas Filipino Workers, whose remittances make up at least 13% of the national GDP. Now, Alvin, we're actually talking about two different types of OFWs here. Most commonly, the blue-collar workers, the domestic maids, and those in the service industry. But increasingly, we're seeing more skilled Filipinos going towards, as you said, greener pastures. We're seeing doctors, we're seeing accountants. Are there no opportunities for them here?
Well, there are, but as Vivian has said earlier, there is what we call the problem of relative deprivation. If somebody has gone to Singapore, for example, as an accountant, and just a tour as an accountant, and found out that I'm paid well here, and will start telling friends back home, I'm paid this much here, and what are you doing there? This kind of thinking, you kind of think of a tipping point. Until when can I live with this kind of a salary when somewhere else I'm being paid higher? So this kind of mentality is actually tempting a lot of our skilled workers, and it's also not just because somebody is in there. It's a word of mouth, and as the global phenomena exists, you can just find it anywhere. Advertisements saying, internet.
Ellen, what will happen if this brain drain continues on the long term? What will happen to the Philippines?
Then we definitely have a problem. As of now, we are already the world's #1 labor-sending country in the world. And we don't see this as something that is natural. Why we always say that mobility is something that is natural to a human being, that he or she will move wherever he or she wants to. The point is, what we're seeing here in the Philippines is not something natural. Mass migration. Every year, the Philippines targets to send 1 million Filipinos overseas. And when you say you target, then of course you try to meet the target. That's one. But the other thing is, it's not just a worry for those skilled workers, but it's also a worry for those who are working as domestic workers, definitely, because they're more vulnerable to abuses. And our question is government really ready, and is it capable to guarantee protection for all these 8.7 or so millions of Filipinos overseas. So we have a problem.
Well, Vivian, you know, mass migration for work has been occurring since the 1970s here in the Philippines. Has this made the government lax in terms of developing its own employment opportunities here within the country?
As far as overseas workers are concerned, there is that sustained efforts of government to encourage them to get into business, to encourage them to invest their earnings in investment instruments that will generate higher income so that they can ultimately go back and retire in this country.
Elvin, is it the part of the government to entice these migrant workers back to the country? But what are they enticing them back to? That's one question. And two, or is it the responsibility for the government to train these human capital and keep them here in the country?
Well, I think it doesn't matter whether you are training people for outside or within. What the government really should do is just train people here as needed by anyone else, whether outside or within.
But even if you do train people here, if there are no opportunities, and if there are
Yes,
greener
yes.
pastures overseas, surely they would leave.
Precisely. One thing that's lacking here basically is the entrepreneurial skills and concepts. For example, if you have been receiving $2,000 abroad and you come back to the Philippines and you go into business, you won't get $2,000 immediately on a monthly basis. So some of them just lose heart, you know, because it takes time. You take a lot of risk, while being employed abroad gets you immediately the income that you're expecting.
But it's a cycle, isn't it?
It's going to be a
train human
cycle.
capital,
It's going to
but
be a
there are
cycle.
greener pastures overseas,
Yeah.
they
Yes,
go
yes.
overseas,
Yeah, but that's the
and they
thing.
don't come back.
We invest on the education of the people. So
Yes.
whether they are working as domestic workers, are highly
Professionals,
educated.
yes.
Yeah.
They're
So
teachers.
we invest on the education of the people, but only for them to go abroad
out.
immediately.
Yes.
We all agree that migration for work is a necessity or a possibility in a globalized world. But how much longer until Filipinos will move out of Philippines to work out of choice rather than necessity? How much longer?
Well, for as long as there are opportunities elsewhere, there will always be that option will always be open to Filipinos. Even up to now, by this time we're already saying that migration is an option of our nationals. Of course, there is that conscious effort on the part of government to build up or establish alternative investment in this country, so that, and by encouraging themselves also, that their families left behind can get into business, so that they would have options whether to continue working or staying put in this country and be a whole family. And but even shall we say, even the nationals of developed economies are still moving around the world, looking for employment where they want or they are comfortable working with. And so that globalization or that migration phenomenon will still be there for as long as there are imbalance in the world economic conditions of
Elvin, will
countries.
this balance soon come to play?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it depends on the global economic situation. You know, demand is basically coming from outside and not from within. So I'm not seeing it as a continuing phenomena for the next 20 years. What you are seeing is that eventually other economies will have the same strategy and will look at the same capabilities. I mean, like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. They're trying the same strategy as the Philippines now. So they are paid less than Filipinos. So eventually other countries will catch up, and you will see a weakening probably of lesser skills, and then it will taper off probably in the next 20 years.
Ellen, are you just as optimistic? And are you saying that it will take 20 years
Well, I would
before
have
the
liked to be
Philippines-
optimistic, definitely, but I see the trend. We've been, as I said, we've been into migration for almost 4 decades, and the trend is continuously increasing. And I will see in the years to come that it will continue to increase unless government will be able to come up with a viable, sustainable, people-centered development program. So in the meantime, time, I think, as again, as I said, if we have 10% of our people abroad, we should be able to guarantee that that their rights are protected and upheld and fulfilled. And that, again, the bottom line is we have to be able to provide gainful employment as viable alternatives to our people. Otherwise, migration will always be something that is forced or a first option for many of the Filipinos, and we don't see that this is the way to go for the country to be able to really develop.
We're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately. That's all from the 101 East team here in Manila in the Philippines. We'll see you again next week.